They say the dead don't speak, but what if one did? What if just before her final breath, a buried girl cried out and someone heard? This is the story of Alina Grace, a girl betrayed by the one meant to protect her, and the stranger who saved her from the earth itself. In a quiet village, surrounded by thick wood and winding rivers, lived a 17-year-old girl, Alina, kind, soft-spoken, full of dreams, and full of silence. Her mother had died when she was just 8 years. A fire took everything. Her father, Henry Grace, was broken. Within a year, he remarried. Her name was Evelyn. Evelyn was beautiful, charismatic, and under her polished smile, cold as winter. At first, she played the part of a caring stepmother, but the mask slipped, especially when Alina began to resemble her late mother. Not just in face, but in spirit. Henry was often gone, working with the railroads, and during those absences, Evelyn's curiosity grew. Slaps, starvation, locked doors. But the worst part, no one knew. Alina kept quiet to protect her father, to hold the family together. Until one fog-covered evening, Evelyn decided that she was done pretending. From the kitchen window, she watched Alina tend to her late mother's rose bush, a bush Evelyn had tried to uproot twice. Alina was humming. That soft, haunting melody was the last straw. That night, Evelyn made a special tea, chamomile, with a hidden powder stolen from the village vets. She handed the warm cup to Alina with a smile. "For your nerves," she said. Alina hesitated, but she wanted to believe. She drank it. Minutes later, her limbs turned heavy. Her speech slurred. She tried to stand and collapsed. Evelyn calmly wrapped her in a blanket, loaded her in a wheelbarrow, and wheeled her into the woods, past the old barn where no one ever went to anymore. She already dug a shallow grave. She rolled Alina's unconscious body into the hole, covered her in dirt, pressed it down, and walked away. But Evelyn made one mistake. Alina wasn't there. She awoke to pure darkness, death in her mouth, weight on her chest. She couldn't breathe. She realized she was underground. Her body screamed. Her lungs ached. She crawled at the soil, tore at it with her bare hands, her nails breaking, her skin ripping. She tried to scream, but doubt filled her throat, till she fought because something in her refused to die. Miles away, a quiet man named Ilas was finishing his late shift at the sawmill. Ilas lived alone in a cabin on the edge of the woods. He was a coal farmer, miner, a man used to silence. But that night, As he walked his usual path through the trees, he heard something, a faint, muffled sound like crying, but from the underground. He stopped, listened again, and he ran through branches, through bush, until he came to a patch of disturbed dirt, fresh. No shovel, no tools, just instincts. Silas dropped to his knees and started digging with his hands. Faster, deeper. His knuckles bleed. His breath quickened. And then he felt it. A hand. He shouted, "Hold on. I'm here. I hear you." The earth moved. A glimpse broke through the depths. A face, pale, shaking, gasping for breath. Alina was alive. Silas pulled her out, wrapped her in his coat, and ran back to his cabin. He cleaned her face, gave her water, wiped her mouth in warmth. She could barely speak. Her voice was cracked, trembling, but she whispered one word: stepmother. Silas understood. By sunset, she was at the village doctor. The authorities were called. Evelyn claimed Alina had run away, but Silas had proof. The shallow grave, the tea glass, the bruises, the shredded nails, and Alina barely breathing, telling the same story again and again. The village finally believed her. Evelyn was arrested, tried, and convicted. She showed no remorse, not a tear, not a word. She was sentenced to life in prison. Alina survived, but she did not emerge unscathed. For months, she couldn't sleep, couldn't be alone in the dark. The smell of soil would trigger panic, but she had Silas. He came every day, sat quietly, never asked her to talk, just listened. They formed an unspoken bond. He became the family she never had. Years passed. Alina rebuilt her life. She went to college, studied criminal physiology. She began to speak on stages, at shelters, in courtrooms, telling her story, helping others break their silence. She would always end with the same words: "I was buried alive, but someone chose to listen. That's why I am here." One winter, Alina returned to the wood where it all happened. The trees were bare, the wind silent. She stood where she had once fought for her last breath and placed a single rose in the soil. Silas had passed away the year before, peacefully in his sleep. Alina looked to the sky and whispered, "Thank you for hearing me." This is more than a story of survival. It's a story of listening where no one else does. A story of pain, of courage, of one girl who rose from the grave because one man refused to walk away.